I remember the first time I met Hubert Green. It was in Hawaii. I can't exactly remember the year, but Hubert played extremely well in that particular golf tournament. And I remember he hit like a 7-iron on the 15th hole, if I'm not mistaken, and the ball hit the side of the green.
The ugliest swing in professional golf. That is what they called it. The critics, the coaches, the commentators. They said Hubert Green looked like he was digging a ditch, not playing championship golf. They said the cross-handed putting grip was a sign of panic. They said he would never last. And then decades later, when throat cancer tried to take him down in 2003, he faced it the same way he faced a death threat on a golf course in 1977. With grit, with silence, with a refusal to quit. He beat the cancer, he earned the Ben Hogan Award, and when he passed away in 2018 at age 71, the golf world lost a man who proved something the television era never wanted to admit. Ugly wins just as often as pretty. So how did a guy everyone called unorthodox win 2 major championships in golf's most image-obsessed era? It was not magic. It was not luck. It was a repeatable system built on nerves, precision, and the kind of toughness you cannot teach in a country club academy. And if you like stories where the underdog proves everybody wrong, tap the hype feature and give this video some hype. It helps a ton. Now let's rewind to where this all started, because the story of Hubert Green is the story of a man who refused to look like everyone else and paid the price in history books but never on the scoreboard. Professional golf in the 1970s was sold as a showcase of beauty. The television cameras loved the high, arching swings of Tom Weiskopf and the smooth putting strokes of Ben Crenshaw. Form mattered. Style mattered. Looking good on a 19-inch screen mattered. If you did not fit the aesthetic, you were treated like a fluke. Hubert Green did not fit at all, and the establishment made sure he knew it, but he kept winning anyway, and that made them even more uncomfortable. Hubert Myatt Green was born in Birmingham, Alabama in 1946. He learned the game in a self-taught environment at the Country Club of Birmingham. No famous instructors, no academy Polish, just hours of practice and a mind that cared more about results than approval. He tore through the amateur ranks with back-to-back Alabama amateur titles and Southern amateur victories. People noticed his mental toughness before they ever noticed his swing. They called it Alabama grit, a blue-collar work ethic dropped into the white-collar world of professional golf. His father taught him a simple rule: if you are digging a ditch, dig a good ditch. If you are cutting the grass, cut it well. Golf was not art to Hubert Green. It was work. It was survival. And he brought that mentality to every single tournament he entered. Then people saw the swing, and they could not believe what they were seeing. Green stood incredibly close to the ball with a deep, hunched posture. His hands were low, almost crowding his body. The setup looked like he was trying to read a book in dim light. Most players of that era used an upright stance with a wide arc to generate power and create those towering ball flights that looked beautiful on television. Green threw all of that away. He gave up distance for control. He gave up the magazine cover swing for a motion that delivered the club face square every single time. His compact rotation traded leverage for precision. Where other players were swinging for the fences, Green was swinging for the center of the fairway. The takeaway was even worse in their eyes. It was a lightning-fast, low movement that looked like a hitch or a lash. There was no smooth tempo, no deliberate pause at the top, just a quick, violent motion that seemed to defy everything instructors taught about rhythm and timing. Commentator Peter Allis, who watched Green throughout his career, pointed out that Green took the club back on the outside, which usually leads to a slice, but then looped it inside during the transition into a perfect position. It was a series of compensations that somehow worked, and it worked consistently. The motion was repeatable because Green had hit thousands and thousands of balls with it. He had trained his body to deliver the club in the same position every single time, regardless of how strange it looked to outsiders. Green himself watched his swing on film once and said it made him feel almost sick, but he did not care about the visual. He cared about one thing: the position of the club face at impact. That was the only thing that mattered. Every other element of the swing, no matter how ugly, was just a tool to get the club to that one critical moment. That focus allowed him to finish in the top 25 in about 1/3 of the PGA Tour events he entered during that era. While other players were trying to look like the next Jack Nicklaus, Green was focused on beating the next Jack Nicklaus. The ugly swing kept cashing checks, but the full swing was only half of his unfair advantage. The real scandal was happening on the greens. In the 1970s, putting with your left hand below your right hand was viewed with deep suspicion. The golf establishment called it cross-handed or left hand low, and they treated it like a red flag, a sign that your nerves had failed you, a desperate last move when the yips took over. Green turned that stigma into a weapon. The traditional putting grip relies heavily on wrist rotation and feel. Under pressure, those small muscles twitch. They flinch. They break down. Green's cross-handed method locked his lead wrist in place. It took the hands out of the stroke entirely. The benefits were clear. First, his shoulders squared up to the target line more easily because the left hand low position pulled his lead shoulder down. Second, the putter followed a straighter, more consistent path, which was deadly on short putts inside 5 feet. Third, it gave him a mechanical buffer against anxiety. When other players were choking on 4-footers, Green was draining them. His version of the grip was even more extreme than what you see today. He bent over excessively. He gripped very low on the shaft. He used a right-handed putter from 1930. His right forefinger extended straight down the shaft, and he believed the stroke should be made with the left hand, not the right. That philosophy was the opposite of what every teacher in America was preaching, but Green did not care. Years later, the cross-handed grip became normal. Major champions adopted it. Instructors taught it. Green had been right all along, but in his era, it just made him look more like an outsider. Then came the summer of 1977. Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The United States Open, the final round. Green was the leader. The heat was oppressive, the pressure was suffocating. Every shot mattered. And then, after he finished the 14th hole, tournament officials stopped him. A lieutenant from the Tulsa police was with them. They had news. The FBI had received a phone call from an anonymous woman. She said 3 men were on their way to the course. They were coming to shoot Hubert Green when he reached the 15th green. Officials gave him 3 options. They could clear the entire course of spectators and let him finish in an empty stadium. They could suspend play and bring him back the next morning under heavy security. Or he could keep playing at his own risk. Green did not hesitate. He chose option 3. His reasoning was as simple as his swing philosophy. He told them he could not be more nervous than he already was. So let's just get it over with. The scene on the 15th hole was surreal. Police in pith helmets and riot gear walked the fairway with their hands on their sidearms. Television cameras panned the crowd, not for highlights, but to help security spot potential threats. Green told his caddy, Shane Greer, to stay away from him and meet him at the ball. If someone was going to take a shot, Green wanted to make sure he was the only target. On the 15th tee, the psychological weight finally showed. He snap-hooked his drive toward the trees, but he caught a break. The ball hit a tree and bounced back into the rough with a clear line to the green. He hit an 8-iron recovery to about 30 feet. 2 putts for par. The green itself felt empty. There were no scorers, no standard bearers. His playing partner, Andy Bean, had been told to stand clear. Green walked through it all like he was on a Sunday stroll. He birdied the 16th hole to take full control. By the time he reached the 18th, he needed only a bogey to win. He holed a tricky 4-footer for par and won by 1 stroke over Lou Graham. Final score, 278, 2 under par. Lou Graham finished at 279. Tom Watson at 281, Gary Player at 282. The critics who had mocked his ugly swing had nothing left to say. Mike Davis, the CEO of the USGA, would later call it the definition of grit and perseverance under extreme circumstances. And then Green did something that surprised everyone even more. He refused to talk about it. He did not want to milk the death threat story. He did not want to become famous for surviving a sniper situation. His reasoning was simple. He did not want to encourage other dangerous people. And he did not want the story to overshadow the game itself. So he stayed mostly quiet about it for nearly 30 years. He only spoke in depth about the experience during his 2007 World Golf Hall of Fame induction. That silence was pure Hubert Green. No drama, no headlines. Just get the work done and move on. 8 years later, in 1985, he proved the U.S. Open was not a one-time miracle. He was 38 years old. He had recently recovered from a shoulder injury. Most people thought his best years were behind him. The PGA Championship at Cherry Hills Country Club in Colorado said otherwise. The tournament turned into a head-to-head battle with Lee Trevino, the defending champion. After 36 holes, Trevino led Green by 1 stroke, but on Saturday, the fast, dry greens at Cherry Hills started breaking players down. Green shot a steady 70. Trevino struggled to a 75. Green took a 3-shot lead into Sunday. Trevino was not done. He made an eagle on the 5th hole and reclaimed the lead. For the next 9 holes, they stayed tied. It was a test of who could hold their nerve longer. The answer was Green. Trevino suffered 4 3-putts during the round. He later blamed a heavy $50 putter that failed him on the fast greens. Green stayed a par machine. He parred the final 4 holes. Trevino bogeyed the 15th and the 17th. Green won by 2 strokes. It was his 19th and final PGA Tour victory. For Trevino, it was his last top 3 finish in a major championship. The era of the television gods was ending, and the guy with the ugly swing had outlasted one of the most beloved players in the history of the game. Hubert Green was not just a golfer with an unusual style. He was a man with a code, and that code put him at war with the establishment. He viewed professional golf as a job, not a performance. He hated phoniness. He hated players who prioritized their image over the work, and he kept a list. 6 golfers he openly could not stand, not because of their skill, but because they violated his sense of what a professional should be. Number 6 was Seve Ballesteros. Green saw Seve as a practitioner of gamesmanship who bent the rules and etiquette to gain an edge, like coughing during an opponent's swing. Number 5 was Johnny Miller. Green was irritated by Miller's effortless brilliance and perceived arrogance. He thought Miller's California style was soft compared to the dirt-digging grit required for real success. Number 4 was Tom Watson. Green resented Watson's golden boy image. While the media loved Watson's classical style and clean-cut persona, Green felt his own scrappy method was unfairly marginalized as ugly or accidental. Number 3 was Lee Trevino. Despite their battles on the course, Green found Trevino's constant chatter and engagement with the gallery to be a strategic distraction. To Green, the course was a place of work, not a stage for comedy. Number 2 was Lanny Wadkins. Green despised Wadkins' tendency to whine about course conditions. Green believed a professional should endure hardships silently. Complaints were a sign of weakness. And number 1, the golfer Green disliked most, was Gary Player. Green called him the biggest phony on the face of the earth. He viewed Player's relentless positivity and ambassador persona as a calculated PR mask designed to hide a ruthless competitive nature. These conflicts were not petty. They were a window into Green's belief system. Golf was a survival test, not a popularity contest. That belief system is also why history forgot him. Despite 29 professional wins and 2 major championships, Hubert Green is rarely mentioned alongside Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, or even the second-tier stars like Watson and Trevino. The reason is simple. Television became the primary source of revenue for professional golf in the 1970s. Being telegenic became an unofficial requirement for superstar status. Sponsors wanted players who looked good on screen. Tom Watson's high, rhythmic swing was marketable. Hubert Green's low hand, hunched hitch was not. You could not sell a Hubert Green swing in a magazine instructional. In fact, the golf industry spent decades telling amateurs not to swing like Green. That made him impossible to market. If the public believed that a homemade, unorthodox swing was the key to winning majors, the entire business model of instructional videos, academy systems, and perfectly engineered clubs would be undermined. Green was a results-oriented outlier in a style-oriented industry. His erasure from the history books was not an accident. It was a business decision, and Green contributed to his own invisibility by refusing to chase fame. He stayed quiet. He did not milk his story. He just played golf and went home. After his playing career ended, Green moved into golf course architecture, and his design philosophy matched his playing philosophy perfectly. He wanted natural beauty, not artificial geometry. He criticized the modern trend of turning golf courses into manicured gardens that looked more like theme parks than tests. He believed courses should test a player's grit and precision, rewarding smart decisions and punishing mistakes. His designs reflected that. Greystone Golf and Country Club founders in Birmingham, Alabama, Reynolds Lake Oconee, the preserve in Greensboro, Georgia, Wild Horse Golf Club in Henderson, Nevada, TPC at Southwind as a consultant in Memphis, Tennessee. Each course was built to challenge character and skill. They were not meant to be pretty for the sake of being pretty. They were meant to be good ditches. Hard tests that separated the tough from the weak. The final chapter of his life brought everything full circle. In 2003, during a routine dental visit, Hubert Green was diagnosed with throat cancer. The same stoicism he had shown under a death threat at Southern Hills came back. He underwent a painful regimen of radiation and chemotherapy. By the end of 2003, he was in remission. In 2005, he was awarded the Ben Hogan Award for perseverance. Despite the physical toll, he stayed active in the golf community. He attended major championships, he mentored younger players, he showed up, and in 2018, at the age of 71, Hubert Green passed away. His life had been one continuous demonstration of the principle he lived by. Grit matters more than glamour, results matter more than aesthetics, and courage matters more than style. The legacy of Hubert Green is a lesson the sports world still refuses to fully learn. He proved that ugly wins just as many trophies as perfect. He proved that mental toughness is more valuable than a fluid motion. At a time when the entire professional golf world was trying to look like Jack Nicklaus, Hubert Green had the courage to look like himself. His 19 PGA Tour wins and 2 major championships are not just numbers. They are symbols of a defiance that prioritizes substance over style. The history books may favor the golden boys with the telegenic swings, but the scoreboard will always tell a different story. It does not matter how you look as long as you are the one holding the trophy when the shooting stops. That was the dark truth Hubert Green lived by, and it is a truth that never goes out of style. If this story hit you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment about the biggest myth in golf. Is it that you need a perfect swing to win, or is mental toughness the real separator? Let me know what you think.